Inflation is defined as a general increase in prices and fall in the purchasing value of money. In a nutshell, inflation means that the prices of essential goods and services are rising as our income remains the same. Unfortunately, in the US, we're currently experiencing record high inflation, the highest we've seen in 30 years. And I know you're feeling it like I am at the gas pump, at the grocery store, pretty much everything. But there's good news. One thing that remains certain in these uncertain times is real estate is a hedge against inflation. The inflation impact on real estate is a positive one. I know, at first glance, this kind of seems like a contradiction. However, inflation fears are driving more investors toward commercial real estate. Commercial real estate offers multiple advantages to investors during these times of inflation. For example, housing prices are going up. Along with everything else, they're going up with inflation. So for owners, this means that their assets will appreciate more quickly. In the current financial climate, property owners are seeing record highs in appreciation. Prices will eventually even out, but even then, owners can expect 6 to 9% increases to remain in many of these markets. Now, of course, your mortgage payment will also be going up. That's why you want that fixed rate mortgage, because fixed rate mortgage payments don't change, but over time, the equity in the property grows. During inflationary periods, as housing prices soar, the asset appreciates at an increased rate, yet the monthly payments don't change. Rents on single-family houses have been steadily climbing over the last year. CoreLogic reported that in September of 2021 that showed a national rent increase of 10.2% year over year, and inflationary pressures will continue to hit the rental market. So at first glance, our discussion here about inflation and real estate investments doesn't seem to have a positive connotation. In actuality, though, investing in real estate, more specifically, investing in rental properties that cash flow, creates a natural hedge against inflation. In most cases, the investors are not only protected, but also benefit from this inflation. How can that be? Well, let's talk about rental income. With most investments, like the stocks, for instance, the value dwindles during an inflationary period. With real estate investments, however, home values and rental prices are going right up. Having a place to live is a necessity, not a luxury. So even when prices are at an all-time high, people are not able to avoid the expense of viable housing. There's even a Forbes magazine article that shows the winning formula to profit as a real estate investor during an inflationary period is to tie a cash-flowing property to long-term fixed interest rate debt. With a fixed interest rate on your mortgage of your rental properties, inflation raises the rent payments, but the interest payments stay locked in at the same low rates, resulting in an increase in cash flow from the property because of inflation. Rent increases are expected in commercial real estate leases. There's typically a clause stating that the rent will increase at regular intervals or annually. As rent increases, the value of a property rises as well. So if the rent increases outpace inflation, investor returns are positive. As a result, real estate investors typically enjoy an acceleration of returns during periods of inflation. Inflation causes home values to rise, increasing the equity in the asset, and the owner of the property then gets an increased rate of appreciation relative to that debt. I'd love to show you an example. Let's take a look at one. For example, if you invest in an asset with 10% down and inflation rises to 10%, you just doubled your down payment as well as doubled your equity in the property. At first, you might wonder how a 10% increase in profit benefits you if dollars are worth 10% less. Well, here's how it works. The debt on the mortgage is outsourced to the tenants. When you receive a higher return on your equity despite inflation, and you're leveraging the fixed interest on the bank's loan and the tenant's income, you ultimately come out ahead. Another thing we need to talk about is property scarcity. The price of commercial real estate property is partially driven by scarcity. This is particularly true in metropolitan areas where population growth has created a limited supply of space. When demand is high, inventory is low, Real estate investors are positively impacted as long as price increases outpace the rate of inflation. Property scarcity is an all-time high in the US currently, and real estate investors are benefiting greatly from the rise in prices as well as the increased need for adequate housing. I know you're thinking, how does real estate compare to other investments? Well, let's take a quick look at that. Real estate investing typically holds less risk than other investments, particularly the stock market, while continuing to deliver good returns and the opportunity to build wealth. For a broadly diversified portfolio, holding commercial real estate is highly recommended. The higher returns gained from real estate investments can offset volatility and or the lower returns for bonds and mutual funds during inflationary periods. Let's talk about building wealth in this poor financial climate. The sustainability of real estate investing is, particularly during periods of inflation, one of the top reasons investors are looking to real estate. That Forbes magazine I was referring to calls real estate, it says that real estate has made more ordinary people wealthy than any other investment vehicle. During inflationary periods, the value of your debt diminishes right along with your equity. Many people are turning their equity into debt by implementing cash-out refinances. And while the general population is searching for some type of hedge of protection against inflation, we're experiencing in this country, real estate investors are thriving. Investors who understand the advantage of relying on real estate are currently building their wealth at an increasing speed. Investing in real estate allows you to use debt to your advantage and continue to build wealth even in a poor financial climate. And that was a quick snapshot of how real estate is a great hedge against inflation. We'll see you in the next video.